Yeah, real quick video about my thoughts on a Girl Talk TV's video that I watched, which is basically about women and sex on the first date, and I'm solely talking about the second part of the video. It's a two-part video. Um, he talked about the inequality of men and women, which thusly makes it their equality. He stated that men and women each have their own faults and each have their own benefits, which is what makes them equal. What one man can do, another woman can't do, is vice versa. What one woman can do, another man can't do. So, or men can't do. So I really agree with that aspect of his 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 talk about the double standards of sex on the first date, and he basically summed it all up on a divine role. Like that's just how we're made, and I completely agree with that. But I also think there's a very deep psychological aspect to it that we all know men and women aren't created mind-wise and thinking-wise and conscious-wise. Men and women aren't created the same, and anybody who's read a little bit um, may know about, the human consciousness. And if you've read Sigmund Freud's thesis about the makeup of the human consciousness, you would know that it's broken up into three aspects: your id, your superego, and your ego. Your id is your more primal side. Your superego is your more social thinking, acceptable side. What can I do to fit in and not be looked at funny? And your ego is what keeps them both in check. It floats, between all levels of consciousness. Now, I'm not talking about an ego like, oh, he got a big head ego. I'm talking like a conscious thinking ego. And of course, what I'm about to say is that men are more id driven. Your id is your primal side. And what your primal side consists of is sleeping, eating, having sex, and drinking water. And I think that's where a lot of unknowingly, a lot of where those stereotypes come from. One saying goes, "A way to a man's heart is through his stomach." That's his inside saying, "I gotta eat." And all men want is sex, and all men are dogs. That's his inside saying, "You want sex." And I think that's just a big aspect. It's not an excuse or anything like that. It's just a big aspect of understanding why a man thinks the way he thinks and why a man is the way he is. Um, and of course, women are more super ego driven, and they're more thinking on a long term basis. Like, what can I do on a long term basis to suffice my id needs? What can I do to make sure that my id doesn't get in the way for a long time? You know what I'm saying? And this goes back way back to not even thinking about relationships or sex, just society or civilization in general. You know, without the superego, you know, surplus wouldn't be invented, food preservation would be invented, um, street lights, anything that's been invented has basically been a super ego, your super ego or your super ego mind thinking of ways for your immediate needs to be handled for a long term period. So going back to the relationship, because I kind of got off on a tangent, going back to the relationship aspect, I think it's very vital for women to understand that men are more id driven, and I'll keep restating that men are id driven and women are super ego driven, and it solidifies the fact with me that without one, you can't have the other. Like, a man cannot be complete in a relationship with two ids. If a woman is an id and a man is an id, there's no possible way that relationship can work and it be healthy. It'll be completely destructive because both of them will be doing what they want, when they want, how they want to do it. So that's where that inequality and that equality comes in that he was stating in the video, but on a psychological basis. A man knows subconsciously that he needs his super ego. He needs someone there to keep him in check. And a woman knows subconsciously that she can't always be socially acceptable and she needs to handle her immediate needs immediately sometimes. And that's where a man will come in the relationship. So, yeah, just basically posting my response to that and giving my thoughts and my opinions on what he said. Big fan of it. Subscribe. Just recently subscribed. Still going through the videos. Probably gonna try to post another response to one of his videos. But yeah, that's my thoughts. So keep in mind, women are super ego, men are id. That's life. We'll move on. We'll live. All right.